Baldies are back.
Biggest miss. What
This
show?
is going to be a weird category, man.
Yeah.
'Cause some of these are movies that I saw on Netflix that I'm guessing you haven't seen, like Cargo.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen Ballad of Buster Scruggs, or Serial Season 3, or The Walking Dead Season 9A.
Okay, so let's just talk about them in general.
Okay.
What is Cargo?
Cargo is a movie with the guy that I always, Martin Freeman.
Oh, right.
And it's about a zombie apocalypse that happens.
That old chestnut.
Yeah, it's pretty well-worn territory. But the twist here is that it's set in the Australian outback. It has a lot of mix with like the Aboriginal themes and stuff. It was pretty interesting.
To the average Australian, would zombies be more or less lethal than the baseline wildlife in the outback?
About the same, I think.
Yeah, I feel like if any place would be unfazed by zombie apocalypse, it would be Australia.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't think this movie was anything super special. It certainly didn't have the buzz around it that something like a Bird Box has. So I don't think this is going to be very high up in this category, but it's simply something I watched that we didn't get a chance to talk about anywhere else.
Do you think the Australian Rick Grimes, Rick Grimes had the policy of like, it's just like, it's all just light meat and dark meat now. Do you think the Australian Rick Grimes says, there's no rules, it's just life?
Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why we remain very popular in Australia, disproportionately so. But sorry, it's out. They probably don't even know Outback Steakhouse. Ironically, not available in Australia.
I can't imagine they would have an Outback Steakhouse there. But
anyway, so Cargo. All right. I could see how that is in our wheelhouse. Fahrenheit 451. Now, I haven't seen this film.
We struck this from another category because I totally forgot everything about this film immediately after watching
And here's my thing. Like, I feel like this movie made no cultural impact at all. It's like it's like what they were afraid of the Apollo 13 astronauts would happen. They just hit the atmosphere and skip off into outer space.
Yep.
Like,
this is like the tears of an Atlantean. They're just carried away by the water. Nothing happened with 451. It was carried away by the book burning fire.
So I feel like that wasn't a very big miss. Like, even because the biggest miss is kind of like in retrospect.
Right. What was huge that we either didn't know was going to be huge and so we didn't cover it, or we knew was going to be huge and we just couldn't get to it.
Right. So Maniac, now you're making a bit of an argument because that was an interesting thing. It also, like, I think was kind of up in the air. I like stuff that's like a thesis that, like, you kind of have to get to the final episode. It's kind of the difference between a Euro game and an American style game. Like, no one kind of knows who's winning until the very final round versus like Risk, where some dude's been sitting not playing for 5 hours. I like that. Like, this could go either way. I could either like it or hate it by the final episode. And I felt like this was an epitome of that. But like a lot of Netflix stuff, it didn't seem like it really penetrated culturally.
Yeah. I mean, certainly not as much as others on this. I feel it's sort of akin to something like Legion, where like they're experimenting with a lot of different techniques and weird storytelling devices, and
it was very experimental.
It goes places,
right?
But it didn't get a ton of buzz either.
It got a decent. It's getting some award buzz, so like it's at least something. Whereas Fahrenheit 451, I don't think I've seen anything.
Yeah, I mean, Cargo and 451, I'd drop to the bottom.
And here's the other thing: is like if this was like on Hulu and they released the first two, and then everyone one a week, there had been so much more buzz because there would have been a mystery that people could solve, and like, oh, what do you think this is? What do you think? What do you think the C drug? What is it? Was it A, B, and C, or is it Alpha, Beta?
I think it was A, B, and C.
Okay, so like like
meanings,
but since it all just kind of gets shit out, and it took you like what not even 6 hours to watch, like it was there, and it was the pop rocks of entertainment. Here's another one I think you can make a good argument for: A Star Is Born. Getting some Oscar buzz. I've heard nothing but like this is not just surprisingly good, but just good movie.
If our audience were primarily middle-aged women.
Hey, now.
Look, all I'm saying is I went to the theater.
You are pitching down a lot of my sensibilities here with this middle-aged woman crap.
I went to the theater, and I would say I was one of 5 men in a fully packed, sold-out theater. So
there
was no one under 30 there. I can guarantee that.
Mm-hmm. I've been that guy a lot, and there's nothing wrong with being that guy.
No, there's not. I thought A Star Was Born was an excellent movie. Probably, and there was a ton of buzz around it, and still is with the awards. So, yeah, that one probably deserves to be up near the top.
Maybe we should do like an Oscar catch-up. Like, you know, if there's a couple Oscar movies, we could try to get that on Bald Movies, but man. Bird Box.
I mean, this is huge.
Then this one does seem like it's got some cultural legs. Like I'm still seeing Bird Box jokes. Like, you know, a good 4, 5, 6 weeks out from it debuting.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while, and I saw it, and it was pretty good. But the buzz around it was enormous.
Yes.
And if we had covered it, we would have, captured some of that buzz. That's what this category is all about. That to me goes up to the top immediately.
Yeah. Okay.
And A Star Is Born probably goes up right underneath it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Maniac up there too, because it's definitely in a class above these other.
Yeah.
I think the Cargo and Fahrenheit are more theoretical misses than actual misses, because maybe Cargo is excellent, but nobody's talking about it either. Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I thought, was another miss, because I very thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a Coen Brothers full feature film on Netflix. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that is well within our wheelhouse. Like, even if we released that in the Fargo feed.
Yeah.
That's something we probably should have covered.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea. You could cross-promote shit like that. Okay, Homecoming. I feel like this is definitely something you're going to want to argue. This is something I'm going to be enjoying this weekend. Nice. I'm going to move this up to the tippy top just for the fuck of it. Serial Season 3. Okay. I don't think that you'll ever in a million years do this, but I do think a lot of the serial coverage podcasts that kind of grew up around season 1 that then kind of got killed in season 2. There was a vacuum, and I thought serial season 3 is interesting, and I think it would be interesting for us to talk about it both from the promotional and technical and kind of like the business side of podcasts, and I thought the examination of what goes wrong in the American criminal justice system would have been super entertaining to talk about too. But I don't know. I don't know if there is a market for a podcast coverage for a podcast.
I think there is. I don't know if it's our market.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how many of those are we really going to do, right? Right, because if we're trying to capture some kind of buzz for Serial Season 3, but then we're not also developing plans to continue to kind of snowball whatever we capture.
So here's a soft pitch. What do you think? Just to do a little empire business here. What if we had a Bald Move podcast feed where we talk about things like Dan Carlin podcasts, Serial podcasts, Malcolm Gladwell podcasts, like some of the ones that are like not just events, but also meaty topics for discussion that are like challenging and, present maybe new ways to look at things and new information. I think that would be, we've definitely built an audience for that type of discussion. But I don't know how popular it would be.
Right. That's the thing. Like if I'm going to branch out into another
would it be
medium,
a club? Like
it's going to be
content?
Gaming. Like I'm way more into gaming than I am into
podcasting,
like consuming podcasts anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Because I'm on a kind of gaming lull. Okay. Well, like I said, I just wanted to see because I think that's a way you could do that.
I do think it would have been an interesting discussion. I think there was a fair bit of buzz around season 3 of Serial, right?
I can't tell because I didn't I just listened to it on my own and just kind of like I didn't do any second follow-on conversations. But I did search for podcasts, and a lot of the ones that I really liked for season 1 and 2 stopped doing it because I think season 2 kind of killed the serial podcast coverage industry because it was kind of a down year for them. And
yeah. And I don't know how you recapture like season 1 of Serial. It was so big and it was groundbreaking in the industry. Like,
yeah, and that true crime stuff was just ready to explode.
Right.
Like you think it's like the biggest genre of podcasts right now? Like it's the hottest.
It's damn near. Comedy is still like real big. Just
and
like
our TV and
just
film,
like
TV and Phil's up
talking
there.
to people is
Yeah.
somehow huge. Yeah, TV and film is up there.
I would like, man, I really wish we could take a run at like the Joe Rogan format, where we like bring in
interesting
like
people
interviewing
that we want
yeah,
to
and
talk
I think we're big enough that we could get that. I that'd be cool to make happen too.
Yeah.
Anyway, just some ideas we could have on the Bald Move TV or the Bald Move podcast if we ever did it, which it sounds like we're not. The Walking Dead season 9A. I think this is maybe because here's the thing. Nothing we could have done in this fall would have gotten us that much traffic, and I think we would have legit had fun. There would have been so much memes about like who's the Angela is Angela King, does she take over? Like has she saved the franchise? And it would have been fun to cover a fun, silly Walking Dead series that still had a little bit like maybe people pitching their fastball because big changes coming down the pike. I don't know, but I thoroughly enjoyed my brief time with it, and I think it would have been a success. So by that measure, it's got to be in the top 5.
Yeah, this is a weird one for me because I absolutely acknowledge the fact that it would have been the biggest draw possible for that season of our podcasts. So like from that perspective, I'm like, okay, well, it's probably number 1. However, I haven't seen it. People, talk about it being better than season 8, which in my mind is like, okay, whatever.
Right.
And I don't know how to rank this one because from a podcasting perspective, it would have been way bigger, like you said, than any other thing we could have done. So
also some of our most fun podcasts were from like season 2 to season 5 of The Walking Dead. And this is right pitched straight down that kind of sensibility. Where you could get some momentum where you could get into and then they could let you down. Like, and I don't even know if they did. Like, I'm just assuming that like they couldn't sustain that run of quality. And also in episode 4, the wheels kind of fell off of Romulan Subcommander Jadis, whatever her fucking name is. But again, I don't know where they're going with that. It's just like, oh, they're going to do something stupid. But instead of every single episode and every single storyline being that, it was like 1 per 4 episodes. Like, yeah, and you almost kind of want a Glenn Well fiasco every 4 or 5 episodes just to get the Walking Dead's full potential as a podcast tapped.
Right.
What is the odds or interest? Because we haven't talked about this, I think, in a real way. What is the odds or interest of us coming back for 9B?
They're pretty low.
Yeah, you don't even want to do just like like an Al and Joe. We're not even going to watch it. We're not going to watch 9A. We're just going to jump into 9B after watching the trailer. And
I would feel like I would feel like the Walking Dead executives win if we did that. Like I would feel like
I feel like you're in a suicide pact with these guys.
Look, they made a shit show.
Yeah, they did.
8 out of 9 years, with season 1 being like the exception. To reward them by saying, okay, well, all of that is forgiven because you've made a somewhat passable season 9, half of season 9.
No,
is to say, like, this is the dog that gets kicked and comes back for food the next day, like when it gets hungry. Fuck that.
You've got the incentive structure all screwed up. You think this is like a grudge match between the AMC executives? And I'm saying this is like a relationship between us and the fans and the show, where like we could have a lot of fun engaging with it at this in a way that we couldn't in like seasons 6 through 8, right? We could go back to the old days of having fun and fun memes but also still some like serious. I don't know.
There's so much baggage there.
Yeah,
so much baggage.
Yeah, I also wonder like what would happen if we honestly did come back for 9B. Like, how many people have just unsubscribed from the feed? How many like it also like we did tie a nice bow. Like, I would hate to come back in 9B, it'd be miserable, and then what do you do? Like, we already had the like signing off, best moments kind of thing. Like, I'm kind of with you.
For me, it's a principle thing. Like, I made this decision that if I don't stand by it simply to chase traffic, then what the fuck kind of person am I?
I agree. I do think we fucked up though. We should
have. It was a mistake
in
financially.
hindsight.
It was a mistake from like a ratings perspective. Like everything that matters to a business.
Yes.
But personally, I feel pretty damn good still about the decision.
See, nah, I think that like, but the thing is, here's the thing. You have to judge the decisions you make based on who you were at the time and information you had. And by that junction, if you go back and like with full knowledge of what happened, I think we make a different choice. But if you just say like, would you do it differently? Like, well, if I go back and I'm that exact same person, this looks like it's going to be a massive shit show. The idea that they'd be able to pull it out even to say goodbye to Andrew Lincoln, if that's in fact what happened, is unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
The fact that you have to ask that question, is ridiculous to me.
Whatever.
Like, doesn't that question tell you everything you need to know about how badly you've been jerked around by these fucking people?
Yes, yeah.
Like, the fact that they tell you in all of the advertising Andrew Lincoln's last 4 episodes, and then you're saying, oh, if they actually got rid of him.
Hey, I'm
there's
just
no
saying,
trust there. They can't salvage this relationship.
There's nothing we can say that will make the following statement not true. We played ourselves by bailing when we did. Now, again,
do we want to continue to get played is the question. The answer for me is no.
I just like, so do we have a new, but do we have, did we learn anything as this company? Like, let's say that we have a podcast that, like, in feedback, people are like, why are you still covering this show? Yet 50, 60,000 people are still listening to it. Mm-hmm. We still shovel that product out until people don't want to hear it, right? Like, that's what we should do as a business.
Yeah, I mean, as from a financial perspective, certainly.
Like, let the people decide when we're done with something. But then again, but
it all comes back, like, our relationship with our audience is one based on trust.
Yeah, and
I'm hesitant to trade any of that away.
Well, plus, like, I don't want to be forced to do the Americans, where I'm just like, oh God, this is actually making me feel bad as a person to watch this in this state that I am with the material that I'm given. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I feel like we were taught a lesson that we don't have any takeaway from, because it's very specific to this show and the time and the audience. And, you know, if Walking Dead 9B came out in April, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, because we're going to be loaded with shit. We're going to be over. So it's like, it's just a weird thing. It's so nichey. It's like hard to derive an operating principle from. Mm-hmm. Now, having said all that,
I think it was a huge miss.
Let's quantify it, because I think from one end of the telescope, you look at this and it's the biggest miss. Mm-hmm. It's by far the most successful thing we could have done, maybe other than Westworld, all year last year. Oh, and also the Game of Thrones retrospective coverage was massively successful too. So yeah. But yeah, it was.
I mean, of this list, I can't see anything beating it.
Should be number one, or should we say, because like this is an old kind of dead product that, like, you know, can make an argument for Bird. So I almost think if we're gonna make Walking Dead live and die on that, on the things we've talked about so far with it, then we have to retire it after this year, because they will continue to make that show, and every year that we don't cover it, it will be the biggest miss, right? Because we'll be stuck at that, oh, well, we could have had 40, 50,000 people listening. Is there any... Well, yeah, I agree. So once you have the biggest miss... If it wins
this category this time, we have to retire it.
If we have the biggest miss and we refuse to cover it again, then yeah. Is there any possible way that you would be compelled to do a season 10? Like, what if we heard the buzz on season 9 was that, like, yeah, actually, 14 of the 16 episodes were excellent, and the other 2 were okay with a couple dodgy parts. Would that get you back in? I think you're just done.
Yeah,
I'm looking at your face. This is done. This is your done face.
It's hard to conceive of a scenario that would bring me back into that show.
Yeah,
I'll say that. Can I definitively say there's absolutely nothing they could do to bring me back in? No. I mean, if they proved to me over the course of the next few seasons and it started winning awards and it started
moved to Cinemax, it was softcore porn now.
Right, I'm back in. No, I mean, there are changes I can make to that show, because look, I like zombies.
Freak The Walking Dead.
And fuck me, I've watched many zombie things this year.
And you're going to watch more.
And I will watch more. So I'm not done on zombies, but I'm done with the production of The Walking Dead.
Okay.
So maybe there's something in the future, but they would have to. It's about the pattern. Like, it's really about the pattern for me. Like, show me that you give a shit about your audience.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll be back in.
All right. I'm going to make an argument that Bird Box should be the number 2. And here's my argument. Our movie podcasts are very successful. We release a podcast that comes out like on Friday morning and says, hey, this thing's hot, while it's and unlike a movie where you've got, a lot of our audience is like our age and they got families and it's hard to like, just on a, hey, let's just go out and see this, fucking movie that we didn't plan on seeing, where it's very easy, like, hey, the kids are in bed, Aaron and Jim said Bird Box is hot, let's listen to it. Or let's watch it. Like, I feel like these Netflix movies, I don't know if they can pump out the quality, like if all the average quality is along the lines of like this or a Gerald's Game or something like that, then I think this could be a big thing for us. But if they are like shovelware type of movie things, which I think some of these Netflix are, or like, things that foreign film, like semi-successful foreign films that were optioned for cheap, I don't know. But Bird Box, I think, would have been a great test case to see if we had coverage of that the day it was released, which we could do. We could have done. It would have been a great experience to see how well that did.
Yeah. Bird Box is an interesting one because I didn't come away from it going like, this is fire. I don't think anybody really did, but a community of...
It came out in a vacuum.
The internet community kind of latched onto it in a weird way, even though it's not like... I don't think anybody's saying this is the best movie that we saw this year. They're simply like, it inspired something in the larger community.
Netflix
I don't know that I got that
from
from the movie.
Netflix can do something like A Quiet Place now.
Yeah, but I don't know that I got that feeling, that same feeling that, some people on the internet got and kind of forced it out into the mass status. So like my review of that movie wouldn't be this is something you have to watch. It'd be like, that was a pretty good execution on the concept. But when I would be much more tepid than the internet at large.
Right, but I think what this is like seeing, it's kind of like when you look at China and their space program. Like, you could shit on all day long and be like, well, come back when you've landed a man on the moon and you have a fully stocked space station, all right? But they are doing some impressive things, and they are taking steps to where one of these days they might not be the first persons on the moon, but they might be the first lunar colony. And I think with Netflix, we're seeing them hit different milestones. Like, oh, you can do a big big budget with Hollywood stars that is popular, but maybe like a Bright, right? Like not a critical success, but a commercial success. Okay, now you can do like a horror movie with big budget actors and production values that's on the level of like A Quiet Place. Like, what are we going to do when Netflix has like a Godfather level event? Like, oh, this is something that Oscars actually has to think about. Oh shit,
Roma is that, and Roma's winning all kinds of awards and being nominated.
Why isn't Roma on this list?
Probably should be.
I think it's on the people's list actually, because I compiled it, and that was one where I'm like, Roma, what the fuck is Roma?
No, I think we just hit that milestone actually. We hit a couple of big milestones for Netflix.
Okay.
Both from a like zeitgeist perspective and then from just a straight up quality perspective. That's
where I think like maybe Bird Box belongs, because it's one of those things where, and I think we're responsive to it. Like, we're taking Netflix movies seriously, and we're going to try to not be blindsided and flat-footed on them anymore. But so that's why I think Bird Box is kind of, because it's the one that we're going to respond to. Walking Dead, we're not responding to.
I agree. Bird Box is a big miss this year. Probably number 2, although I would make a strong case for Homecoming, because the pedigree is really good. It's Sam Esmail. He kind of has honed everything that he was trying to do in season 2 of Mr. Robot, and he's made it tighter, and he's made it more entertaining, more compelling, at least to me. And I really think some of the techniques he's using in his filmmaking are groundbreaking. Like, remember in the 90s and the 80s and stuff where every sitcom would have like this freeze frame at the end?
Yeah.
What if you had that moment, but it was more like the feeling was frozen.
Yeah.
And you were dwelling in the feeling, but the action was still happening. But it wasn't action that was distracting you from the way you feel about the final moment of the episode.
Yeah.
So it gave you
it sounds
kind
like,
of a pocket to sit in.
Do you know like those cinemagraphs? Have you seen like they'll take like the
moving still kind of thing?
Yeah, one of the ones I can think of is like that one spoilers for Breaking Bad, but you know when Walt kills Mike and there's that like big shot of Mike like kneeling by the river and like there's a cinematograph I've seen where it's like him and then Walt and then but the only thing moving is the river. Like it gives you kind of like a moment in time that you can inhabit emotionally. It sounds like that's what they're, because I haven't seen it yet, but it sounds like that's what they're going for, like the emotional equivalent of a cinematograph.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super interesting. I'll talk about this more.
It reminds me of like Life is Strange. Like, you know how sometimes it'll prompt you to like, you can sit on a park bench and just listen to music and look at things, and like you can, if your character wants to sit there for 3 hours, they can.
Or for like the big decisions, right? They don't give you a time limit.
Yeah.
So you can really think about it. Yeah, right. I feel like that's what Sam's doing with Homecoming, and its credits sequence, I guess, is how I would term it. I'll talk more about like aspect ratios and shit that he's doing in that make it really innovative in like the best drama category. But here, how many people I saw people talking about Homecoming, but we have a fucking forum where people who are really interested in television are chatting constantly, and I saw 4 or 5 people mention it.
I hear that there are 2 shows that are like very good, Homecoming and Patriot, and that like the rep is that nobody's watching them. Right.
That's the problem for the biggest miss category.
And is Homecoming, what network is that? Is that Showtime or is that?
It's Amazon Prime streaming.
And it's a lot of stuff I'm hearing nobody watching is Amazon. And I got to say that even if like the Romanoffs was a runaway critical success, just judging by our Bald Move TV, nobody like this Amazon thing. I feel like that, especially like I just feel like that there's more people, like so many people have Amazon Prime. It's almost like if you have basic cable, you probably have Amazon. If you got the money to spend on basic cable, you probably have the money to spend on Amazon Prime. And I don't understand why. Maybe it's just the fact that there's so many streaming outlets that if you're not Netflix or HBO, you're starving.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think Amazon needs to improve their interfaces for their content portals.
Yeah.
Their website is useless for promoting the content or even browsing content. Yeah, it's just a standard like web interface kind of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's bad. And then their apps aren't much better, frankly.
And they're like fast forwarding is a chore, rewinding is a chore.
They need to really invest a lot in their interface with their audience.
Yeah. In
order for me to feel like I'm getting a Netflix quality experience from them, even if the content is good.
Well, let me ask you this.
Certainly is.
Because here's the tiebreaker. I think maybe is one way you can look at this is like what kind of change, what kind of catalyst for change is this going to be in Bald Move? Like, are you going to advocate for us covering Homecoming season 2, and how would we do that? Because if you're not, like, I think it's automatically not as big as a miss as Bird Box, because Bird Box is a miss that we're like, oh shit, we don't want this to happen again.
Yeah, and
like Deuce was the biggest miss of last year. We came back with full coverage of it.
Right.
Are we going to be responsive to this?
It probably depends on what you think of the show, but yeah, I would be totally in on Homecoming season 2.
All right. So then I think that like Maniac, Ballad of Buster Scruggs are like kind of a repeat of the things we've already said before. And A Star Is Born is like A Star Is Born, like we miss movies, critically acclaimed movies all the time. Like it's one of the biggest annoyances I have is I think we do a pretty good job of doing the blockbuster coverage, but we don't do any of the like, kind of Oscar and indie stuff that we kind of pride ourselves on. Like if we were doing running Bald movies or Bald Move TV side where we did Bald movies, we wouldn't be doing the sharp objects and leftovers and shit. We'd be doing, just a big dumb stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, but like I wish we had a little bit more balance on it. So I guess I don't even care what 4, 5, and 6 are, because I feel pretty good about 1, 2, and 3, and I wonder what you think about, like, is 3 a bigger miss than Bird Box? Because it sounds like quality-wise it is, but maybe structurally it's not.
Yeah, I mean, audience-wise, it's certainly not.
Zeitgeist, it's not.
No, I'm pretty okay with this list.
I might put Scruggs up above a Maniac, or you, if you care.
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I would even roll like A Star Is Born into the top 5
over Maniac. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, boss. There you go.
Honestly, that's a pretty good list for me.
Okay. Well, there we go. We got it. Biggest miss.
You want to run down the top?
Oh, yes. I forget. I got to do that. Number 1, The Walking Dead, Season 9A. Number 2, Bird Box. Number 3, Homecoming, first season. Number 4, Ballad of Buster Scruggs. 5, A Star Is Born. And that's